All right. July 27th. 7:05. First up, we need to approve the minutes from the meeting of July 13th. Has everyone looked at those? Any corrections?
I did. I had one comment. I think, I don't have them in front of me, but I think the minutes said the proposed cutting is mostly invasive. And
That's what it says in the,
that's what it says in there, but it's not what they really
right,
planned.
but that's what it said in the proposal.
The original one.
Okay.
No, the one for 4 Housatonic.
Oh.
No,
I'm
I'm talking about, 2 Housatonic. Yeah, okay.
2 Housatonic, sorry, 2.
All right, so it's not accurate.
I did make it there, but
It
I
was
was a day late.
not, it was not reflected on the site as far as we could tell.
Lucky I made that. Motion to approve,
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
second,
I'll second them.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Up tonight. Everyone on the Zoom meeting hear us fine? Okay? If you don't hear us, speak up. Informal, nothing. Public hearing, nothing.
We do have chairs in here.
Anyone want to come? Probably the weather chased them off.
Okay, so the first 2 are
Continued.
continued Housatonic Railroad.
Anyone here from Housatonic Railroad?
They said they were going to be here tonight, but I don't see anybody representing.
EEC Associates. I hate to try to delineate wetlands this year.
Yeah, everything.
And we got a communication from them saying that they were going to be here tonight, but I don't see anybody on the list that looks like it's representing them.
All right.
Who's this joining us?
I think we're all gonna have to speak up in order to be heard, or else we're gonna be, accused of something.
Mackinac Terrace Association. White Engineering. Anything?
Lisa said I was on for an informal, just to ask what the process is. Do you mind if she asks her question?
Oh,
Lisa?
hello.
Hey, Lisa, you here?
You're muted, Lisa.
Good, Lisa.
Lisa, push the unmute button.
Can't hear you.
Still no.
Wait, there's the,
Okay.
Try again.
Okay, so I'm not sure what the question is I'm supposed to be asking, actually.
It's been having some stormwater issues as a result of, you think, other work that was done.
Could you speak up a little louder? so
You
I can
had some
hear that?
stormwater issues over on East Main. The
Yes, we did, we did.
Basically, that was done. And I didn't.
Go ahead. It's an ongoing issue. It's got to do with the runoff from the culvert pipe that runs up under 102 down past our property.
We have your address?
98 East Main Street. Over the last 20 years that we've lived here, we've had at least 4 or 5 incidents with that culvert pipe flooding the property. It's never the river that is a problem, it's always the culvert pipe. It flows either over the road or under the road and jumps the banks. And in 2011, it flowed over the top of the road, wiped out our, I think Sally, you saw this, took out our driveway and all of our riverbank with our distribution box. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was catastrophic.
Catastrophic, it was catastrophic. In 2013, that cost over 20,000. In 2013, we got evacuated because of the possibility of a dam up the hill overflowing. So we had to leave the property and go sit in the town hall for the afternoon. The dam did not overflow, but that stormwater pipe has been an issue for at least 20 years. Our basement is frequently full of water, and the overflow from the pipe runs completely over our driveway, wipes out our driveway, wipes out all the embankment along the river. So I'm hoping that maybe that can be addressed.
So I remember you've tried contacting the state on this, since it's a state highway that the culvert goes under
Yes.
several times.
And they actually said it was an act of God, and the homeowner's insurance wouldn't pay for it because it didn't include an outside air conditioning unit. So that was a $20,000 bill. And the state basically has not maintained that culvert pipe at all. They basically wait for me to call and complain, and then they show up and kind of rub my back and say they're very sorry.
In your opinion, what condition is that pipe in right now? Is it deteriorated or is it plugged or?
I think it's plugged. I mean, I've told them many years ago, I think they need to make the retention pond on the other side of the street deeper, so that the velocity of the water doesn't run down along our driveway. And they have not maintained it. And I also think there's an issue with the building up above, which I never even really knew there was a swimming pond up there that was dammed. But I think there's an issue with that because the stormwater isn't being maintained properly up there. So when it overflows, it just completely floods everything at our house.
So as I remember, because I visited your site a few times, especially when you had that awful flood.
Right.
Did we think that the culvert was inadequate?
I'm not even sure. I'm not even actually sure that was ever even addressed. I think that the state basically kind of washed their hands of us. So I don't think the town really had any sort of oversight over that. I think the town, I mean, I had a enforcement order from the what is it?
It's Lisa Sauer, I don't know.
Peter Clogie,
Yeah.
Tri-Town. So everything was taken care of because he kind of just said everything needs to be fixed. But I don't think the state ever addressed it. And I'm not even sure it's in the town jurisdiction, to be honest with you.
Did the water come over the road this time or just through the culvert?
Through the culvert, took out the bridge, took out it jumped the banks of the culvert by 3 feet on each side.
Did you talk to Jim Willis at Tri-Town this time?
No. The last time it happened, I actually went up to the DEP. To the DEP, and they said, you know, it's basically their land, they can do whatever they want on it. But we do have a lot over there that was taken by eminent domain. So it is not really our property, so they don't want to maintain it, but they did say that if we wanted to maintain it, we could.
But the water flows onto your property when it overflows.
I can't hear what you said.
I said the water flows onto your property when the culvert banks, when the banks of the sort of exit that exits to the river floods.
It flows onto our property over the driveway and into the basement. So the basement is facing, I mean, basically we say we live in a houseboat.
So my thought on this is the swale is not large enough to contain the water that comes through the culvert.
Right, that's exactly the point.
What are you saying about the swale?
It's not large enough to hold the water that comes through the culvert.
On the other side of the road.
On your
There's
side
not
of
a
the road,
swale, there's a swale on either side, but there's also a waterfall that comes from the property up above on Yale Hill Road. It's not just a swale. There's
No,
a
but-
giant waterfall that comes down, and the property on Yale Hill Road, I'm not even sure.
And the
I
brook,
think
Hill on the brook.
it's not Sawmill Brook.
It's not.
No,
No, it's a power line, right?
right. Yes,
Strawberry Hill.
yes.
It's the pond.
And so the water runs up to the power line and then up to the road and then overflows the road and then comes down over your driveway, over the road and trashes your house, correct?
It comes over the road sometimes. Other times it comes through the culvert pipe, which is not wide enough. So it comes flying through the culvert pipe, which they don't maintain. And it jumps, there's basically a stream that runs along the side of our driveway, and that gets to be 3 times the size of what it should be. And it's actually cemented on both sides. So at some point in time, the state determined that was the amount of runoff, but it never is enough. It's never enough. So it jumps both the cemented sides of the runoff area and takes out our driveway and takes out half of the embankment on the other side.
And your chickens.
Do we have
And my chickens, and my chickens.
contact? No,
Hey.
anybody at Deep, or DEP?
Chairman,
Sure,
this is a District 1 issue
Right.
that's what we're just asking.
and.
They have been zero help. Let me tell you, District 1 has
You
been
know,
zero
Lisa-
help, zero.
You know, I would encourage you, though, I mean, have you been up there face to face with them?
Many, many times in tears.
Really?
Yes.
Well, then it's a Smitty Pignatelli issue.
We'll try to come up with a name and make a call.
Yeah, we have a name. Well, and I have his email.
I know who it is. It's in Lennox. I've been there many times. I've talked to the superintendent. He basically just kind of, wrings his hands together and says, sorry.
Let us try to contact somebody. Attend our next meeting. We'll see if we can give you an update on any
Yeah,
progress.
I mean, this has been going on for years and, we would buy this house from our family if we thought that it wouldn't float down the river, but
I would call,
that is
I would
not
call-
even a possibility at this point.
I would call Jim Willis at Tri-Town and remind him that this is a health and human safety issue.
Okay.
It might work. I mean, he's very responsible.
Well,
he's a
Peter
really good guy.
Kaloji was super helpful
Yeah.
when we had the
Jim-
huge issue.
Jim will be
He was-
too.
Yeah, he's, but I just feel like, I know you say District 1, and I know it is a state highway and they have to deal with that, but, they just aren't doing it. They aren't.
I'd mention things like health and human safety a lot.
Okay. That's funny.
And I would call Jim. I would call Jim and update him. He may not know that your septic got flooded out, and what a huge crisis that was.
So here's another question for you.
And he would care. I mean, he would really care.
I know he would. And here's another question. I'm just curious why the town hasn't gotten some sort of grant to run the sewer down to this end of the street, because there's like 8 of us on this end of the street that don't have public septic, public sewer, town sewer. And
There are a lot of places in town.
Talk
that
to the
need
planning
sewer.
board or the water and sewer department.
Not our job, man.
okay, I'll deal with that on another day.
Tell them it's health and safety though, too.
Yeah, health and safety.
For your chickens too.
I mean,
Gonna need ducks.
The rooster took care of all the hens, so that's good.
All right.
Anyway, all right, thank you.
we'll see what we can do, Lisa.
Yeah, bye-bye.
I think you should.
Where are we? Mackinac Terrace? Nobody?
I don't think so. Scenic Mountains,
Yeah, but it is. Scenic Mountains,
yeah,
2 Housatonic
right.
Road.
Lisa and I went to the site
I was there a day later.
I've been to the site.
and we were surprised at how much clearing had been done unpermitted. There was quite a long driveway, and there was quite a lot of mowed lawn that was not permitted. And so we had some ideas and opinions about what could happen next, because they're asking for a considerable amount of additional clearing.
Jackson, is this
Oh,
you?
you weren't here.
Yeah,
is,
Jackson, do you know how long these people have owned this property?
these people have
they
not,
don't own the property.
they've not bought it yet.
They're in the process of purchasing it.
Wait a minute.
And Jackson, who cleared the property so far?
What's that? Who cleared the property?
Yes.
It's been a long time. that it-
I'm not sure definitively, but whoever previously owned the property.
It's clear that it was done probably 15 years
Oh,
ago,
But it's been maintained.
but it's been
They've
maintained.
maintained the clearing.
Right.
And part of it is in wetlands.
Wait a
the
minute.
Buffer zone.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry.
You missed it. Yes.
Pardon me?
We did this last week or,
Yeah, you may have done this last week, but I've been looking at that piece of property for the last 2 years. And there've been people up there clearing that property, Jackson, for quite a while over the last 2 years. And essentially, you're blowing our Scenic Mountain Act thing right out of the water here. And somebody needs to do something about it or get a cease and desist. It ain't gonna keep going on.
Yeah.
I can't speak to any of the previous clearing. The people who currently own the property are not our clients, and we don't represent them. So if there's going to be some kind of action, that would have to taken up with them. But we do. It is fine for you to include this previously cleared area in the scope of the project, because we understand, it is how the property exists right now.
But that's new information. My understanding from the last meeting was that the cutting had happened in 2006. If it's been
Oh, no,
ongoing,
the last couple of years has been cutting going on.
Didn't look that way.
I live at the other end of the mountain, Jackson, and whether it's legal or not, we drive our all-terrain vehicles over there. And there's somebody up there with a chainsaw going nuts. And, it's been within the last year. And, this is sort of like buying a piece of property that has a failed septic system. Maybe the previous owner needs to replicate what was there. That's my opinion.
It didn't.
And I understand that, but they are not who we're representing tonight. And
I have to say, though, that from what Lisa and I saw, there was nothing recent.
yeah,
was-
as
it was
best
last
as I
winter.
can tell from.
It was last winter.
But you'd see stumps and stuff. There's
It was
nothing.
last winter.
So I saw it too.
Really?
You could have
Okay.
a grinder.
All right.
and we didn't go into the woods either.
We didn't go into
No,
that.
and I was very much in the woods.
So, to me, that's a really good point, and I've wondered after the site visit whether we can issue an enforcement order saying no more cutting there.
No more cutting there, let alone can we replicate what was there?
They have already, they've already violated the act pretty egregiously. So to be asking to cut more at this point makes no sense to me.
And Jackson is an example, if you go over on Route 7 near Highland Farm and you drive down Route 7, there's a little hill right past Fox Hollow. And you look at that piece of property, you will notice all of a sudden you could see through the trees, which you never were able to do beforehand.
It's a big area.
I can't speak to if there's been clearing in the past 2 years. From the best I can tell from aerial photography, it was done sometime between 2004 and 2008, the majority of the clearing anyway. But
I'll agree with that.
an issue with the current property owner.
So, but if we wanted an enforcement order for no more cutting, how would we do
I'll
that?
get the name of their owner, send them a registered letter.
Yeah, the fine is like $1,000 a day for what they did.
Right. Jackson,
You know,
who is the
we're not
current
gonna-
owner of the
we're not gonna
property?
do the fine, but I'd like it to be
Why not?
stopped.
Who is the current owner of the property, just for the record?
The current owner of the property would be Kevin and Kristen Zimmer. I don't know if they were the people who own the property when the clearing occurred, but they are the people who own it currently.
I think they've been, whoever has been in here.
I think they were on the last Zoom meeting.
Yeah, they weren't very friendly.
No. All right, let's hear what you're trying to sell us, Jackson.
Well, I'm actually, I have to say that as far as I'm concerned, there is going to be no more cutting.
After what I saw, I totally agree.
So if they want to do something where there's going to require cutting, my answer is no.
And if I can add one more thing, there's also significant erosion down that driveway. I mean, there were deep gullies down the driveway that exist now. So, I mean, that was a problem also.
Understood. So I'm sharing on screen now what the, just to catch everyone up to speed, so or make sure we're on the same page, is the site plan that was submitted previously under our original Scenic Mountain Act Notice of Intent submission. As you stated, this includes 1.4 acres of clearing and then some additional areas of selective trimming and invasive species management. And the commission had several issues with this plan, which we further discussed at last Thursday's site visit with Lisa and Sally. And since then, we've produced this revised site plan dated today, July 27th. I apologize, we couldn't get it to you sooner for a better review. But in response to those concerns, we believe this proposed site plan will at least mitigate the vast majority of those concerns, chief of which was the size of the clearing, which was previously proposed to be 1.4 acres. And we've reduced that down to this proposed 1 acre of clearing for this proposed future house site. And to be clear, this proposed house site is just shown as conceptual, and the Scenic Mountain Act Notice of Intent is not meant to permit those structures, simply the clearing and mitigation related. So that would be 1 acre there. As you can see, we're proposing a significant amount of additional tree planting mitigation of native species. We've quantified the approximate number of trees to be removed within this 1 acre area as 75 mature trees, meaning mature trees 6 inches in diameter or greater, that would be removed for this 1 acre area. And for mitigation for those 75 trees to be removed, we are proposing a 1 to 1.5 replacement ratio, which you can see noted here. Proposed native tree planting mitigation at a 1 to 1.5 ratio, which would total approximately 113 1-inch to 2-inch caliber native tree plantings, which we would propose to be red maple, yellow birch, and American beech. The commission was also concerned with work proposed on steep slopes. So we have reduced this limit of clearing quite a bit to place the potential future house site right at the base of the slope here, and leave the steep slopes, or the majority of which, undisturbed as much as possible. And another concern was the potential subdivision of this lot in the future, and the people who are the applicants are happy to commit to never subdividing this lot, and their full intention is to hopefully develop this as a single family home site in the future.
It was great.
Another concern would be the being able to see this proposed house site from the roadway, the neighboring homes, and Stockbridge Bowl. I think Lisa and Sally could probably attest that you're not able to see any of the other houses. You can barely see the driveway opening there, and we're about a half mile from the lake, and there's no direct line of sight through the thick, tall trees here. In addition to the proposed mitigation in the form of these approximately 113 proposed native tree plantings, we'll also be proposing, instead of selective trimming in these areas, we'll be proposing just invasive species mitigation and removal, and that'll be done mostly through hand removal, some mechanical removal, no herbicide treatment of any kind. And that would be solely for removal of invasive vegetation through the understory, and all native vegetation would be preserved to the maximum extent practicable. Overall, currently there's a 1.6 acre clearing on site, which you can see inside this green line shown here. That is the existing 1.6 acre clearing, which is 9% of the 17 acre parcel. As designed, the proposed work will clear approximately 1 acre of currently forested land and will restore approximately 0.5 acres of currently cleared land. Therefore, the net total amount of acres to be cleared completely on site would be 2.1 acres, or 12% of the total lot. So it would be only a 0.5 acre increase in the area cleared, and a 3% increase in cleared area on site. 88% of the lot would still be forested under this current plan. And it would be a net gain of native trees on site, as we're proposing to remove about 75 white pine and hemlock mostly in the area, and replace that with native red maple, yellow birch, and American beech.
Doesn't cut it for me.
As designed, the proposed clearing, invasive vegetation mitigation, and a significant number of proposed native tree plantings will have overall, we believe, a positive impact on the scenic qualities and native wildlife habitat qualities of the parcel. In the addition of approximately 113 native tree plantings around the proposed house, the driveway location here, and the related house structures would only serve to further screen this structure and preserve the scenic qualities of the site. So overall, we believe this will be a net improvement on the site, while clearing a somewhat usable area for a future house location shown here.
About 2050?
What's that?
Are we talking about 2050, that it'll be back to some sort of replication of what's there now?
Correct. The trees would take quite a while to fill in. We're proposing 1 inch to 2 inch caliper trees. The trees that are proposed to be cut are very tall, relatively old white pines toward the end of their life cycle. So we believe adding some native plantings, tree plantings to the area will serve to improve the future native hardwood forest of the area.
I respectfully disagree. Having seen those trees, they were not at the end of their life cycle.
And Jackson, those trees fall down one at a time.
Also,
400-year-old winter.
Jackson, I know you keep referring to the percentage of tree removal, but if you look at the Scenic Mountain Act, they just under alter, they also consider an alteration cutting trees in excess of 50 square feet, which this is way in excess.
Correct. That's why we're applying under the Scenic Mountain Act notice of intent here to display to you that we don't believe this small area of clearing will be a detriment to the scenic qualities of the site in the area.
I have concerns about erosion, given what we saw, given the driveway that's there. I think any additional cutting is going to contribute to erosion, and planting small trees is not going to help with that. And where you have that driveway, that's a beautiful woodlot that should not be cut. I'm against this, I have to say.
I hate the, oh my bad, let's go forward thing. I'm sorry, but the fact that it's already been cut and cleared, there's been a driveway put in. According to John, there's been additional cutting above that we didn't see, really is so frustrating to us. And planting little 2-inch trees when you've taken down a 6-inch, or 8-inch tree it does not provide the same habitat. It doesn't provide the same shading. It doesn't provide the same inspiration and expiration. It just doesn't do the same thing.
I understand your concerns, but that would be something you'd have to take up with the property owner. The Levy's are
The
attempting to
property
purchase
owner
the.
made his own bed when he did this without a permit.
It's also very convenient that the property owner and the potential owner put this proposal forth in the new owner's name so that the old owner doesn't have to answer for what he did.
Right.
Well, I would like to see an enforcement order for the current owner to do no more cutting.
And you can absolutely do that, but that's not who I'm here representing tonight. You can go ahead and issue whatever needs to be issued to them. What we're hoping to do is improve the site over the future, and the people hoping to purchase this property would only want to invest in the scenic and environmental qualities of the property, and are hoping to, take some of this burden that isn't theirs because they didn't do this clearing under their own belt, and provide quite a bit of mitigation.
Jackson, why can't they build the house on the acre that was cleared, whether legally or illegally?
That's what we said.
So we told them, there's a nice clearing there that they can use.
Jackson,
I'm curious, like, what is the reason why they need to clear more? If they want to take care of the property, as you're saying.
I heard they couldn't make any money.
If I were,
Ship out to sea when I heard
if it were my property, and I said this at the site visit, if it were my property, I think it's a lovely clearing that's already there, and you could have a nice house right where it is.
Jackson, do they have town sewer up there?
What's that?
Does the town sewer go up that far?
I'm not positive. I believe so. I think the other houses on the street are town sewer, but I'm not positive.
They could tie in.
Yeah, they don't town water, they town sewer.
If I could address the issue of building the house in the current clearing, it's just not what the people hoping to purchase this property have in mind for a house site. They've had several excavation and builders as well as Foresight look at the site, and this is what we've deemed as the most buildable site on the property. Building here would be located squarely within the buffer zone of this intermittent stream in BVW, and the cleared area that flattens out here is pretty wet and not very suitable for a house building, whereas the toe of the slope is much drier. And as the project progresses, they would have to deal with stormwater and erosion as they propose to build their house and garage and permit this future driveway. This is it's not a legal driveway right now. They would still have to go through the special permitting process of getting that permitted and make sure there would be no erosion around that. So overall, we believe this would be an improvement.
I understand that that's what they want to do, but our mandate is to enforce the Scenic Mountains Act.
And Jack,
Not to give them a lot to build.
It seems to me like the cart is in front of the horse here. I think there are two issues, and one is we need to deal with the current owner.
right.
And we get that resolved one way or another, and then the sale might go through or might not, depending on how this turns out. But
So
I think we have to deal with the current owner and the situation that they've created before we can even consider what steps your client wants to
And
do.
Jackson, we're mandated to do what Jay's saying.
I completely understand, and if that's the decision the commission makes, and we completely understand, and we'll hold off until that issue is dealt with and put to bed.
And I have to say that if you put the house where I think you could put the house, and it would be perfectly acceptable to almost everybody in the whole world.
I was thinking the same thing.
You would have at least 50 feet from the buffer zone, and it would be, at least from my point of view, it would be preferable to cutting down a whole bunch of trees.
Not so close, isn't it?
It would likely have to be much closer than 50 feet if you take this house site and kind of place it in that area. It would be pretty close. But
It would not. You could design the house so that it wouldn't have to be.
But Sally, this whole thing is irrelevant because the current property owner is not being represented by Jackson. Jackson's just coming in here,
I get it.
A bulletproof vest on there, Jackson. I mean, this is, go away.
if that's what you prefer, make a vote, and we will we will go-
Jackson, let us try to deal with what's there now.
Yeah, if I'm understanding you correctly, there'll be no Scenic Mountain Act notice of intent accepted until there's this enforcement action is dealt with for the previous clearing, which I completely understand.
So I am curious of why the site that's cleared now is not suitable for, in the opinions of Foresight and everyone else, it's for a house site. Why the cleared area is not adequate or whatever.
Perfectly good.
As we typically would avoid building in a wetland buffer zone, if possible, which we believe it is possible on the site. And we've consulted with excavators and builders on where would be the most suitable place to build a foundation that wouldn't fill with water on the site and how we could deal with stormwater. And this is the location that we have came up with.
So we have to cross through this buffer zone to get to the new site?
That's why they make some,
Why
The
is it a
proposed
wet-
driveway does
Because
not
it's
go in the
flat
buffer
on
zone.
top of the mountain.
Okay, thank you.
Hello?
all right, so we need to vote.
What is the motion?
We need a motion to
Deny.
approve or deny this project.
I would make the motion to deny this right across the board until the current homeowner shows up. Or property owner shows up.
They'll only show up if you contact them.
I would second deny.
And so is property. Just-
No. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
And
Aye. Any opposed?
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, were you going to say something else?
No, we're going.
I was going to make a second motion.
Okay.
We issue an enforcement order that no more cutting happen on this property, or the people will, or the present owner will be fined in accordance with the Scenic Mountain Act by the day.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Jackson,
Go away.
we'll try to keep you informed.
Yeah, thank you all for your time. Have a good evening.
Yep.
How are we gonna make any money with that?
I heard that. Something going on Rattlesnake Mountain Road, we gotta,
You know what? Can I, no.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
I am recused from this project.
What's next, Ron?
With regard to Rattlesnake Mountain Road, even though I love Hugh Page very much, it's being turned into an interstate with airport mix.
Yeah.
And it's like, people drive 50 miles an hour on this road. And I was there today with Vinnie Cardillo and he was cutting up those oak trees that they took down. And, he almost got hit twice, just going back and forth across the road to pick up logs with his tractor.
is there any posted speed on that road anywhere?
Yeah, it says
25 miles.
an hour on Brim, but it's a yellow sign, which is not
The
enforceable.
problem is that they just keep, because they didn't want it to be a paved road, it just keeps going, more and more crap every year gets dumped on it that
Might as well be.
might as well be. It's like, like a Donovan's.
Yeah, I think we should put major speed bumps in that thing.
They should stop fiddling around with it. That's what they should
Make it
do.
one way.
It used to close in the winter.
Yeah, exactly. Something like
Well,
that.
that's not gonna happen because my house is there and Arthur's there and
Yeah, but you can
family's
still
there.
close it at the bottom of there.
Yeah, you can go up the other way.
So
Route
do
7.
we
They can't get up the hill though, then.
do we have an RDA? I didn't see an RDA for this. Do
Yes,
we have one?
we do. From Time Bond.
This is for the telephone poles, right?
Telephone poles.
Is anyone here to talk about that?
Yes, we have three
National
people to
Grid.
talk about that.
All right, that's up now. Let's hear about National Grid and telephone poles on Rattlesnake Mountain Road.
Hi, my name's Kate Wilkins. I'm from Time Bond, representing Massachusetts Electric Company for the pole installation project on Rattlesnake Mountain Road. Stephen Hayward and Jamie Walker are also here from National Grid for this application. So the project entails the installation of 4 poles along the north side of Rattlesnake Mountain Road in the area of parcel 21634. There's also one existing pole that's going to be replaced, and there's going to be new line extended from the existing poles onto the new pole location to facilitate electricity to a private property. Some tree trimming and tree removal would be required to allow for the new line to make its way across the new poles. The work is all within buffer zone, 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland that's along the side of the road. There is a culvert between two of the proposed pole locations that directs water from that BVW down across the road. There was some standing water in there when we were there a few weeks ago, months ago.
Probably more now.
Still there.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty now. The poles will be installed 6 feet below the surface of the roadway. The poles themselves are about 18 inches in diameter. All of the work will be located just off the side of the roadway with a truck mounted auger. It doesn't necessarily follow the full exemption because it is so close to the resource area, but none of the work is proposed within the resource area. The area is not located in a rare species habitat, and straw wattles will be used around the proposed pole locations during augering to prevent any sediment from entering the resource area. That's kind of the gist of the whole project. I can share my screen and show a figure if that's helpful. There is some included figure 3 in the RDA document, but we're looking for a negative determination to install these new poles.
I have one question, and that is that when you put your auger in the ground and dig up 6 feet of dirt, what do you do with it, especially if it's in a wetland?
So this one's not in a wetland, but it's next to a wetland. The material is stockpiled in the upland area, usually just in the roadway next to the truck. And then the material is used to backfill around the pole with some more stone. And then the material is taken off site if there's any extra left.
Make a speed bump on Rattlesnake?
I got a question also. I walked along there on the north side of the road where the pole, where you're proposing to put the poles. There's a lot of wetland species. There's mature trees. There's willow, there's cattails. There's a lot of indicator species of wetland. And there's standing water all along there. On the south side, there's not mature trees, there's not wetland species. So why are you doing it on the north side instead of the south side? What's the rationale? And can it be done on the south side instead?
This is Jamie Walker from National Grid. I can jump in and speak to that a little bit, and also might have Steve Hayward, the engineer, describe a little bit of his process. But from what I understand, that putting it on the north side of the road, it's the least cost to the customer. By jumping it to the south side of the road, going down the road, and then going back over across the street to the customer's driveway would add additional feet of overhead conductor, but potentially an additional pole. It would be more cost. I don't know, Stephen, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, Jamie, you pretty much hit the nail on the head with that, with everything.
Is the customer allowed to speak?
Did you, what is the distance between the poles? We don't have a map, so.
Yeah, standard distance between poles, and I think even for this project is 150 feet.
Oh.
And what can you stretch that a little bit if you had to? 200?
Possibly. Oh, 200 is too far.
You're taking into consideration the underground line through there, the Tenneco line that.
Yep, so that first span that we have going from the last existing pole to the first proposed pole, that will jump right over that gas line.
No, that's not.
It's not a gas line.
That's not the problem.
There's on the other side of the hill, and I'm not quite sure what you want to call it, but there is some sort of grounding
No, I know what it is.
wire type thing.
I
Swamp there. They don't.
I asked him. There is if you go east of number 10 Rattlesnake Mountain Road, up over the hump and down into what you see on one side is the swamp and the outlet of the swamp is on the other side. There is a device on the side of the road. That is a sensor because natural gas seeks a low place. And they have determined in their wisdom, I don't know what that wisdom is, but they've determined that they need to put that sensor down there next to that swamp to determine if gas is being leaked from the high pressure line. There is a wire that goes from that sensor, which is pretty far east of where number 10 is, along the road on the north side of the road, all the way down to the gas line itself, where there is some sort of transmission box that goes to, gas line God. And so you guys should be aware of that because there used to be little white flags all along the side of Rattlesnake Mountain where we're talking about putting telephone poles. I think they have since gone by the wayside with snow plowing, et cetera. Just an FYI.
2 years ago, they were over there, they replaced part of it.
Oh, they replaced the whole thing.
I don't know if they went over the hill with it, though. I don't know where.
Yeah, they did. I was down there talking to them. I said, what is this about?
New house and the hill and the pipeline too.
Comes
that
off
they
the last
replaced.
pole.
If you,
There's a box on that last pole on that street that you're gonna replace, a pole that's gonna be replaced. What is the box on that pole?
I have no idea.
You said you're gonna install 3 new ones and replace one old pole?
Sorry about that. 4 new poles and replace 1 existing.
All right.
Steve, I don't know if you know what's on the existing poles, but anything that's on the existing poles will most likely be replaced onto the new pole or to the replacement pole, I should say.
I just don't know if that's just part of the line that's buried underground or not.
How are they gonna miss the electric line?
Right. I mean, I think you need to get hold of Tennessee Gas Line and find out where the electrical line, and the thing is it was really kind of slipshod. It was like a little piece of wire. It was only buried like, I don't know, 6 inches in the ground. And they ran it down very quickly after they put the new thingy ding down in the swamp. But you guys should be aware of that.
Yeah, but definitely, and we will be. We contact DigSafe, and they would be part of DigSafe, so they will mark it out.
The gas company wants to know if anybody does anything around their line. I mean, they send helicopters over all the time. If you mow a field, they'll stop you and tell you that you're too close to their
Really?
line, yeah.
That's
When we
because-
worked up on Prospect Hill, we had to jump through a lot of hoops to put on an addition on the glade around up there.
And that's because natural gas kills vegetation, and that's why they go over with the helicopter. If they see dead vegetation, they say,
Well, they also make sure no one's digging or doing anything close to the line, so you probably have to, I'm sure DigSafe would contact them and you'd all get together on this.
So this sounds like this is the only alternative that we're gonna talk about tonight, the only route for these poles, so that
Poles become 6.
new home.
$7,000 per pole.
Yes, this is the proposed plan.
This is an important thing.
It used to be 4.
I know.
Any more questions?
I'm just wondering if you spoke to the homeowner directly about the change in cost, about the difference in cost, if there was a conversation about that.
I don't know the specific details, but we have a customer fulfillment representative that works between the customer and the other groups, such as environmental and engineering. And I understand that they have been in communication with the customer.
So do you know if the customer's in agreement that this is the best place?
About the details.
It'd be important to know if you
I can speak to that.
Yeah.
Customer
We've explained what would be required if a redesign was necessary. And in terms of the specifics, in terms of cost and that kind of thing, it's not in environmental's purview to discuss cost. I can't speak to it. I don't know that knowledge of the company. That is up to the customer fulfillment group to detail and outline.
So is it your opinion this was a mistake? Deciding on the north.
All right, so I am the homeowner, and I think that this is the worst project I've ever seen. It has been designed badly from the get-go. The fact that they put it on the north side of the road, I mean, I don't care. I just want electricity to my house. But the fact that it's on the north side where there are wetlands, that it's on the north side where there are mature trees, which they're going to have to trim and cut all along. The north side, the mature trees are going to shade that wetland. It's going to change when they start cutting them. The fact that there's an electrical line that goes down the north side of the road is just the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my whole life. It's just stupid from the start. And no, I don't want to pay another $7,000 for it. Of course I don't. But I just think that it's just beyond comprehension that National Grid can be so utterly incompetent.
Arrogant.
And arrogant. And the customer service guy, useless.
Gas sensor here. And then a wire that runs.
All right.
Around here.
Go underground.
All the way down the north side of the road to
I
that
know.
hole right there.
I mean, we could, but the pipe stuff is $8 a foot now.
Conduit, yeah, it's so expensive right now.
But you're gonna pay your electric bill until, you know.
Yeah, you'd think if it's.
Your telephone bill.
If it's gonna cost us $30,000 to put electricity into our house, that we would never have to pay another electric bill, but somehow I don't think that's the case. Especially when it's in a town right away. It's absolutely disgraceful, I have to say, absolutely disgraceful, the whole project.
And this one, then you say.
All right,
So how about 175 feet between poles?
Still doesn't get it on the right side of the road.
Right.
Still gonna get the same number of poles.
I don't think anybody on this project did their due diligence, and frankly, Ty and Bond, I'm just appalled, because you guys are great usually, but the fact that nobody seems to know that the electric line is there is just, I don't get it.
I'm going to have to speak up there. I don't think that that's fair. Our engineers are responsible for designing a project to the least cost to the customer, and that is what the engineer did here. Once the engineer was done designing the project, it was assigned to the environmental group, which is myself. I did a first look to see what the impacts would be, and I sent it to Ty and Bond for further review and to determine the permitting requirements. Following that, we determined that tree removal would still be required on the opposite side of the road. It may not be as much, but it would still be required, and it would still be additional cost to the customer for a very similar type of work. So I'm sorry that you feel that way, but we are working with the best integrity that we can, and we're doing the best job that we can, and Ty and Bond is included in that.
The tree removal on the south side of the road is buckthorn. The tree removal on the north side of the road is some nice mature pines. There's some birch trees. And that still doesn't address the fact that these mature trees are going to be cut and they're no longer going to shade the wetland. Whereas on the south side of the road, there's no wetland, there's no electric line, and it makes no sense to me.
So we're looking for approval from this committee to run the proposed electric line on the north side of the road. Doesn't seem to be any choice. We have no way of changing their mind. You want electricity?
Just think it's,
Windmill?
no, because if they move it, we have to pay for it. I mean, even though they should have to move it.
Did they
We
give you,
have to
did they
pay
give
for
you, tell you a dollar amount for that?
Oh, it's $7,000 a pole.
Per pole.
The average cost of the pole is like $2,000.
7 per pole.
Yeah, it went up $5 grand since I built my house up the street on Rattlesnake, about $5 grand.
Could you stretch the length between poles to 175? That should be permittable. Could someone answer that, please?
You gonna,
Just let's.
Yeah, so I guess if cost is the reason why you're asking it, it's a cost per foot. So whether it gets, if it's 300 feet to get from A to B, whether you have 1 pole, 2 pole, 5 pole, it's still gonna be the same price.
That's not what they told us.
Because you'd save a pole if you'd be down to 6 if you went to 175.
That's not what they told us.
well, I'm sort of a quandary of what to do about this. You want power, but
Oh, well, they can do whatever they want. I just think it's environmentally and design wise, it's totally an unsound plan. I just want electricity at my house, but I think that the alternative that there was a reasonable alternative and that this is ridiculous.
So may I ask a question of Ty and Bond? And that is there any possibility that you guys would reconsider going to the south side of the road versus the north side of the road?
That is really not up to Ty and Bond. That's National Grid's design. And we just review the location that they propose.
So as your representative before us this evening, representing National Grid and the telephone company and all that good stuff, can you go back to them and ask them if there is a problem with the south side of the road versus the north side of the road?
Steve Hayward is here as also represented or from National Grid to help answer some of these questions.
So
And I think
That's me in my territory. Yeah, so it's possible to go to the other side of the road, but that would be to more cost of the customer, and I still believe it would have the same environmental impact.
Just heard that there's buckthorn on one side and mature natives on the other. How can you make that claim?
And standing.
Because we would still have to have poles on the north side of the road somewhere to be able to service that customer.
you would need one.
Poles. Not the trees.
you need to cross the road in one spot.
The road would need to be crossed in 2 spots. So from pole 21 to where the new pole would be, on the opposite side of the road, there is a mature birch tree there that would need to be removed. And then I can't speak exactly to once we extend the line in order to hop over to the shoulder of the customer's driveway, but I believe mature trees there would need to be removed as well in order to accommodate the new pole that would be back on that other side of the road.
Is it possible to revisit this and do a site visit and with you and maybe some of the Conservation Commission and
Of course, it's
the,
already been since April and
And the
we
client?
don't have electricity in the house.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is just gonna draw out till next spring if we don't.
have you considered solar?
Yes,
Windmill.
yes.
How
Well,
about a windmill?
We've considered all those things,
then, sounds like,
but they won't, I mean, the solar people lose their minds when you tell them there's no electricity to the house.
all right. So it sounds like you want power, we
make a motion
let them have
to,
power. Approve.
yeah.
Sorry.
I don't care. I just think that environmentally, this is a really bad way of going about it. And I think there are so many ways to avoid the environmental impact that this particular plan is going to take on this area that nobody seems to be interested in doing. I just think it's ridiculous.
All right, well,
Duly noted, I make a motion, we approve.
any other discussion? Any second? I'll second.
It's a tough one.
Yeas or nays? All in favor? Ayes? Ayes?
Electricity. right?
Yeah, I know. What do you want?
So,
You want power? You got your power.
I just don't understand how they can
Under the influence
take
of,
the worst possible course and put it forward instead of the much more sensible course.
Under the influence of blackmail by National Grid, I will vote to approve.
Any opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 approvals. All right, that's it.
While you're there, make some speed bumps in front of those poles, will you?
When
See
do
what you can
we,
do.
when do we
Thank you for
expect,
your time.
when do we expect this project to start?
In about 3 months.
There's a time limit on our approval, you know.
No, this is where they're talking about putting the poles.
Do we have any time? Is this soon?
Okay.
I'm not sure how soon that goes up to our scheduling department. If the customer wants to contact the customer fulfillment person, Bill Hogan, that would be the best point of contact.
You have to go through dig safe and the gas company.
This road does.
Press 1 for press.
Okay,
Okay, onward.
Is this going in?
thank you. We're good.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
to
you.
go.
Good night.
Right.
Good night. Alrighty.
It's
4 Cove Lane.
Just amazing.
4 Cove Lane. Demolish, reconstruct.
No.
Excuse me.
North. I beg to differ, it goes east-west. And also where they're going 1, 2, 3.
They have no idea what they're doing. None, zero, zilch. I don't see anybody from Berkshire Engineering.
Continued. Mackinac Road. Didn't we do this a long time ago?
Yeah, but remember, he's coming back for some more significant,
Is he here?
yes.
Mr. Mercer? What are you changing, sir?
Originally, when we met in January, we decided, can you hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Great, excellent. We decided that we didn't want to go for a notice of intent to move the concrete stairs and do some terracing, if you remember that front yard of that house.
Yep.
You don't? I believe I attached a drawing with the notice of intent I submitted. But essentially what's there now are 13 concrete steps that are failing, that are going up to the front door of the house, and they need to be replaced. And when we had met this winter, you guys said that if we replace them exactly how they were, that we wouldn't need to file a notice of intent. But the homeowner would like to change it around just a little bit, and with stone, only stone, terrace off the front so that you go up gradually instead of a straight run of 13 stairs. So it would be 2 steps into the front yard that's fenced off, which is about 13 by 20. And if you remember or don't, it goes right next to that intermittent stream that runs along the side of the house. I guess that's where the problem is. So they're willing, and I think Sally had said that the fence was put in unpermitted by the last homeowners. So these people are willing to take the fence out and move the yard, if you will, away from the stream, just in order to put in a raised, a 1-foot raised terrace with 2 steps, and then another stone terrace with 3 steps, and then the remaining stairs would be made out of wood and go straight up to the house, roughly where the stairs are now.
How do you propose to move the front yard away from the stream?
New stuff.
The fence is what defines that front yard right now.
Yes.
Like I said, you guys believe that was unpermitted by the last homeowners. And they said they would lose the fence, and we would pull our work in 4 feet away from, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that yard is only about 20 feet. Pull that away from the stream and pull all of that used space back from the stream.
Talking excavation? Removal of
not
soil? Or just the fence?
Well, the fence would pop right out by hand, and we would be raising up that yard just a foot, so we would scrape the topsoil off, put in a foot tall stone retaining wall, and then put soil back down.
I would want to see this.
Yeah,
It sounds like a lot
retaining wall go?
of what we saw before.
It's,
This is a whole new project.
Yeah, I would want to see it.
I think we've got to look at this thing over again.
And there's a street.
riverfront.
I think it's.
Yeah, okay. I'm happy to meet again.
Did your drawing show this? Did your drawing show this stone wall?
Yeah, my drawing, I believe I showed the existing conditions and the new stonework that would be there. It's all very close to the house. You know, they're not looking to spread out here. They're just looking to contain the space and make it a little more user-friendly.
Right, but it's also it's right by the stream. I would want to see it.
Is this the one we went through?
Here's
I
the,
think so. All right, give me a second here.
Sure.
It's one of those sequence of work things.
it's really tight to the stream. I mean, the house has been in existence for quite a while, but it's really, really tight to the stream.
And they're losing some impervious. They're losing some of the pervious.
Well, they do have to fix the stairs one way or another.
Right, but the other things
Yeah.
that they're doing.
And the dog yard, which is in the front, was put in without a permit. And
I'm looking at an
it's a difficult site.
18-inch stone retaining wall. Is it right, is it alongside the 3 steps?
Yeah, so from the top of the driveway, you would step up into that dog pen, which is fenced in now.
Yeah, 2 steps.
2 steps, so that would be a 1-foot retaining wall there roughly. And then you'd turn towards the front door of the house, there'd be another 18-inch retaining wall, which basically comes off of a concrete foundation they have and returns into the bank going towards the house. And that just levels off the grade below the overhang for the walk-in basement, which just gives them a little bit more space, you know, essentially only enough to put a grill or something up there, but make it a little more interesting and not a straight run of 13 steps.
Chairman, can I bring something to the table? There's just a blank screen up there and we've got this hand-drawn thing here.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be really nice if we had either the applicant present or to.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not a big zoomer, so I'm trying to find a video for you here, but.
We don't need a video, we just need some pictures.
Well, do we need to do a site visit?
We need
Yeah.
to do a site visit.
This one, the 1-inch stone or 1-foot stone retaining wall, does that go all the way around? Is that 3-sided? 4-sided?
Essentially, it would be 3-sided and then return into the bank that the house is on.
Either, you know.
Yeah, I got the drill, we need a site.
It's a really steep site too, so that's an issue.
It's an issue too.
All right, we're gonna come look at it. I want you to have it all staked out.
Okay.
Or you can meet us there, Sam.
Yeah, I'm happy to meet you there.
We want to set a site visit?
Sam Mercier.
Give me a day. Thursdays, Fridays?
Fridays?
Thursday, I'm not available.
Friday morning?
Fridays are better.
Friday morning. Sam, are you ready? Are you available Friday morning?
This Friday, 10
This
o'clock?
Friday. That sounds good. What time?
10?
10 o'clock's fine with me.
So it's the 30th.
Thank
Okay,
you.
great.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
We don't have stakes or ribbons, spray paint. We want to know what it's going to look like.
Okay, will do.
Plans in hand, please.
10 o'clock on Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Harry Kaplan, I don't see. But remember that was where we went the other day, where they were doing the retaining wall.
Oh, yeah. Didn't know they needed a permit. I guess they applied now.
They did the work already?
Pretty much.
We happened to go by it.
We got curious and why
Yeah.
road
The
had
noise.
too many trucks in the yard.
Is there anybody here for Terry Kaplan, 24 Birch Lane?
Yeah.
24 Birch Lane, anybody still here? Kaplan? Retaining wall and stairs?
No. The fines start in 20 minutes.
No.
We have also Rachel Childers.
Getting,
Piece of property that she
She's
wanted.
right there.
One of
Rachel?
the scenic mountain act. You know,
You here?
can't put
Yeah, I'm-
right here, 25 watts.
Tell us while you're here.
Hi, I'm a new homeowner,
Yes.
and I'm feeling a little bit above my head here. We had we have a property we bought 14 South Street, right off of Route 7, a few months ago, and we just had an arborist come to walk through the property to see about the state of the trees. I was curious, and we have a lot of invasives, and it was John Field, and they suggested that we needed first to talk to you all to see if we needed to find a delineation for the wetlands before we could even know what we should do with all of our invasives. So I just need some advice.
Can you describe where 14 South Street is?
It's the third driveway down past Cherry Hill on Route 7 from down Stockbridge.
Oh, the one that floods every once in a while?
We're not the one that floods, we're up the hill. But the property, it's 31 acres, it goes all the way down to Agawam Brook. So it's a big chunk of wet.
Does your driveway flood?
No.
I don't know where.
Is your driveway on Route 7?
My driveway's on Route 7, yeah. Our neighbor, 16, is the one that usually floods, that has the cones out from the city.
No, it's the one before that.
We're the one before that. You can't see the house from the road. It's tucked way back.
Oh, just, I'm gonna ask, you can estimate. This tree work, how far from your property lines might it be?
We have no concrete ideas about tree work. We were just looking for tree health, and we have a lot of bittersweet and barberries and things that we would love to get rid of the invasives. So we're just at that step of the process. We don't want to knock anything down per se.
How are they planning to do that?
He suggested that step one would actually be to either hire a crew to do handwork to get rid of the invasives, or to use a forest mulcher, equipment to come and mulch all of the invasives down. But he said first step was to get to see if the previous owner had a plan in place with the Conservation Commission for the property, and if not, to ensure that somebody could help us walk the property and see where delineation would be.
Well, you have to provide the delineation, and we have to approve it.
We can't mark out property lines and border.
No, we have the property lines. I think I understand what you're saying. I think.
you have to hire someone to do the delineation. We don't delineate.
Oh, okay.
We review the delineation that you provide to us.
Got it.
If you need to do that. And I would say, offhand, handwork to remove bittersweet and barberry and that kind of thing is probably fine.
Okay.
But when you get into forest mulching and machines, that becomes sort of a different.
Yeah, we take a little closer look at it when you start running machines around.
Okay.
Just if there's any wet areas, brooks.
You know, I want to say too, I really appreciate you asking us, and not just doing it. It's really good.
I'm wondering if there are floodplain issues with
Yeah,
this
that's what I
property.
Yeah, I would imagine.
You might want to take a look at the federal floodplain.
We do
Map.
have the markings for the 100-year floodplain, which are far from the house and far from any area that has been cleared so
Okay,
far.
that's good.
Yeah.
It's now the,
Those type of things, those maps are what we're gonna wanna look at.
Okay.
And you have to delineate on those maps where your house is, where your driveway is, where the areas that you wanna clear are going to be, and then tell us how you're gonna do it. And we'll make a decision.
But perchance just to hire somebody or to do the work to get rid of the invasives is okay to do. This is just for if we need anything cut down. Am I correct?
Invasive control is usually looked favorably upon by this committee.
Okay.
Especially if it's hand done.
Yeah, by hand.
By hand.
Okay, but if we chose to go with an equipment person, then we
Then it gets a little dicier.
then you would have to delineate and come to us. Definitely.
Okay. I'm sorry. This might be a stupid question. Do I need permit to do that?
Not for handwork.
Not for handwork, but for okay. Got it. Thank you. This has been clarifying for me.
Great.
Okay?
Thank you.
Any more questions? Call, come on on second or fourth Tuesday and ask again.
When did you purchase the property?
We closed in December.
And who was the previous owner? I'm just curious if I know this.
Lynn Ehrlich is her name.
I don't know the
I think she had done rentals for a long time. So,
Welcome to Stockbridge anyway.
oh, thank you. Been a long time renter here, so we're excited to own.
Great.
We hope you didn't scare you with the previous filing.
You did. You absolutely did.
We're not always awful, just sometimes.
Thank you. Take care. Have a good night.
Have a good evening.
Bye.
That's it, huh?
Okay.
All right, so we discussed 20 Mackinac Shores.
Yeah, I never heard back from Lori, which surprised me, after I sent them a thing saying that they needed to put down erosion control fabric. I did hear back from her saying that they'd put in erosion controls, but it was not erosion control fabric. And when I went down and looked at it, I forget when it was. I guess it was after the site visit on
2
Thursday.
hours ago.
I went down and looked at it after the site visit on Thursday, and there was still erosion going on, and there was still stuff going into the lake. And there was no erosion control fabric, which we had asked for the week before. So
What do you call that black?
Soap fence?
it's just, I mean, it
Oh,
was,
isn't that for weeds?
it's absolutely absolutely
Silt fence, right?
nothing.
Well, there's a way to install soap fence and there's a way
There's a
not.
wattle, but that used to be part of the waterfall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the water just comes down the hill, goes over the wattle and down the hill into the lake.
They should have
Under the
straw bales
And
at
they,
least.
they stuck a couple of straw bales in the one
Those are
side
Nothing.
that the water went around. And it just channeled its
Here,
way
pass them
down
around.
through the.
Swipe left or right.
Yeah, it just channeled its way right through the whole property.
Well, the neighbors have quite a history that they've collected of plumes going out into Stockbridge Bowl from that piece of property. My concern.
There's pea stone in the water.
And mulch.
And mulch.
One of my concerns is that, you know, that excavator, they can't do anything according to the Mackinac Shores Association until October. So why is the portable toilet there and why is the excavator still there?
That, according to Kate, is a zoning issue.
That's what?
I think it's a zoning issue, but I'm not sure about that.
Anyways, the excavator's only sitting on the bucket and one tread now because all the soil's gravel washed out from under the other.
So,
Draw water's on the wrong side of the silk fence.
so
Yeah, it's supposed to be
It's
over
supposed to be on
here.
the uphill side, not on the downhill side.
Right.
why don't we get them here to a meeting,
I didn't.
pictures, and tell
So,
them
Joe,
what they need to do?
I did tell them what they need to do. They need to put down erosion control fabric, and they do not.
They're not doing it, so. then-
So
So-
my recommendation is that we find them.
Yes.
I think we're done with this project. We've told them what they needed to do. We've been on 50,000 site visits. I sent their attorney an edict, if you will, telling them that they needed to put down erosion control fabric, and they did not do it.
So these are violations. We don't need to.
And,
That's not big.
and they're going before the planning board or the select board, I forget now which one, to revise their plans.
So, I mean, my suggestion would be to contact them and give them a day or two and say, if
the
you
July
don't
again?
do what we said.
I said immediately.
Okay, then we find them.
Send them a letter explaining why we're finding insufficient erosion control and lack of maintenance of the erosion control.
And.
There have been notified numerous times.
Yep.
It should be checked after each one of these storms at least.
And the attorney.
Yeah. And so the.
I mean, it's in the order of conditions on every project. They are required to maintain under best management practices, erosion control.
Anybody notice the hose that's there?
Yeah,
You know what the hose is for? To wash the pea stone off the big rocks into the lake. There was a pile of pea stone like that.
I know.
In water on top of one of the rocks. That's gone now. It's spread out in the lake.
I mean, there's just everything wrong with this project. They've not been responsive. They've not been responsible. They've not been, we say, do this, and they go,
So the fines should start.
I think
Yeah.
it's time to fine.
It's their responsibility to make sure that erosion control devices are not compromised when there's a storm. It shouldn't be up to us to go there like tonight after the rain
Right.
to see how bad it.
How much worse it is.
Run through it again.
Yeah, so.
And it was.
Oh, yeah. That's what the pictures were.
And there was no erosion control fabric.
Well, that black stuff that.
That is not erosion control fabric.
What do you mean?
That's silk fence.
Right?
Erosion control fabric is the stuff, the burlap
the
mesh
brown cover.
that you put down so that the whole thing doesn't wash into the lake.
And whatever it is, it's not working.
But they have waddles, which I'm sure that, there are people.
It's just going over the.
I know that, Sally, but somehow or another waddles are perceived to be erosion control devices.
They were, but they've been compromised. I mean, they're not functioning
But
anymore.
then they need to do something else, which is
And
why we're having this
Those were
discussion.
compromised 3 weeks ago, John.
They were compromised before that, Ron.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've kept saying that it's not right, and they throw a little something else up and it's still not
I
right.
mean, erosion control measures are not the same as erosion control fabric.
No, I understand that.
So we asked them, we told them they needed to put down erosion control fabric, and they didn't do it. This was after we told them that their erosion control measures were inadequate.
It might help if they put them across the top of the property and not, yes, lake, midstream, but at the top. I mean, all that water gets in that hole and then it keeps going.
Good point.
Well, regardless, it's not done correctly.
And they
Fine.
need to keep monitoring. Like you said, we shouldn't have to go there after every rain. They need to
Oh.
monitor.
And the question is,
They do.
If we go and find it's not right again,
Right.
what do? We're already,
Keep finding them.
yeah.
We
Well,
keep
can we
finding.
keep upping the fine? I don't know.
Well, it's a fine by.
Theoretically, we can find them under the Wetlands Protection Act, and we can find them under the town wetlands bylaw. So theoretically, we can find them $200 a day.
that'll wake them up.
And I would suggest that we could do that from the date that I sent the email to the attorney saying that they needed to put down erosion control fabric.
And I don't know if you can do it, or if you have to do it from when we vote to fine. I don't-
Yeah, well, let's vote on it so that we have a vote. That's mine.
Well, I certainly make a motion that we fine the bejesus out of them.
I don't know about the bejesus,
Because
but
I'm sick and tired of going and looking at this
I don't know about the bejesus.
property.
We might have to use the
I do have a question. Can you find them, and I just don't know, can you find under both?
Yes,
Okay, you've done that before? I just,
no, but we could.
you could, okay,
Okay, I was there yesterday
yep,
and I was there again today.
okay,
Nothing improved
only got
from
worse.
the week before when I was there.
Yep,
So I think the fine should start on Monday. When we first notified, and I sent you an email or called you or something that said
Yeah.
there was an issue that I'd been there.
Yeah.
So,
okay,
so
And I
that's,
went there on Thursday
make a motion.
again.
And we've
I
been
make a
going for
motion
months.
that, I don't know how we're gonna find them, but we have to consult a lawyer, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say, talk to town council and see when we can start, the
Legitimate.
start date for the fine.
So
I
the
think
start
you
date
can
would
do-
be the 26th.
I think you can find from the date of the notification of the violation.
We'll just clarify with the.
Yeah.
All right. And what day was that?
I think it was Friday. So that would have been
22nd,
23rd.
3rd? Yeah, 20.
I mean, I have the email that I sent to Lori, so
23rd. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, boy.
no boy about it.
and I can't
I know,
remember,
I
I
just haven't
can't
done it
remember
before.
how we have to go about it. I think the police have to go. And
Clarence Fanto when we really need it.
I think the police have to go and issue the order of whatever it is,
Citation or something.
the citation.
Well, that's up on Pine Street. That's not down there. That's where the owner lives. He lives 2 doors up from the
That's
Montessori school.
Snyder School.
Such a lovely.
But the police will know. We'll have to figure that out.
All right, I'll come to town hall again tomorrow.
Make a motion, we adjourn?
No,
Oh,
performance standards, updates.
It's up, that's Patrick. It's in his hands. He was going to check with the lawyer to see who would pay for her to review what we had written. I don't have an update.
Okay.
And I am trying to find out, though Michael wasn't here today, whether Tom Coots is gonna review the stem counts and the like.
I talked to Michael about that last week when we issued the permit for the
Dredging or
Harvester.
harvest.
and because I had some concerns about whether we wanted to require that in the order of conditions, because it was in the original number 3 that the Natural Heritage put in and said we could take out, that we would have a stem count. And I think that the concern was that it would delay the start of the harvesting. And so the stem count, I think, is going to be a separate issue at this point. But I think we need to do it. I mean, I think we need to have the stem count. I think we need to have our,
let's go with it.
we need to have people who report to us doing a stem count at the same time. I mean, at the moment, the harvester is going to have to proceed based on the superseding order that was issued by DEP and where the sites are that they're going to use for their test sites. That is going to have to be what was submitted to DEP, because they have not, there was some question as to whether they were going to move the test sites, but as of now, we've not heard anything about them moving the test sites, so they're going to have to do the stem count for their purposes based on what they supplied to DEP. And we are gonna have to base the harvesting perimeters based on that.
So,
Operator is?
Yeah.
so as Patrick pointed out in an email to the town, it's highly unlikely they're gonna drag the harvester out of the lake to refuel it.
No, I know, that's not in there. The final,
They took that out.
final one is not in there.
Unbelievable.
I already had a conversation with Michael Canales. I said, if he goes where he's not supposed to be going with that harvester, he said it's gonna,
God lightning.
Michael Nathan's gonna run it.
Lily pads, right?
Yeah, because that's what he wants to do.
Oh, yeah.
How is that?
Ethical.
I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Supposedly there's a GPS thing on the harvester, and if it goes.
Well, yeah, it'd be fine if we could keep track of that.
Hmm?
If we could just keep track of that, it'd be fine.
Is there
He's an SBA, he lives down on the,
Lake.
he's one of the big dredge people. He's the one that wants to dredge the outlet.
Well, you could easily take a photograph with a drone before and after.
Don't have a drone.
I do.
I do.
Dueling drones.
Jay's
Don't-
is better than mine, I've seen Jay's.
Don't we have to have some sort of, I mean, DEP is gonna want some sort of
I
monitoring.
thought that was in the order.
They're gonna wanna have somebody telling them that they've obeyed the rules
They wanted proof of that.
and that they're doing what they were told they were gonna do, because otherwise Heritage is gonna have a fit.
I thought that was in the original.
Yeah,
The GPS device records
right,
where the thing is gone, so you pull it up on a screen and it
right,
shows.
so,
where-
yeah, that was
Do
what
they
I
have
thought.
that capabilities here to do that?
Yes, actually, yes, because I talked to Michael about it, and he said that they are looking into the kind of GPS
They can
that they're
track.
gonna get, that's gonna
Record where it goes.
record where it's been and be able to provide the data that Heritage wants.
So they'll have that for this time.
Yes,
So they
And
track.
if he goes off course, who gets spanked?
He does,
Yeah, right.
Stockbridge Bowl Association.
Yeah, right.
no, because they weren't the applicant.
Are we the applicant?
Foresight.
Town is the applicant.
He's actually a town employee now.
Michael?
Yeah.
So so the town would get spanked if he doesn't abide by the coordinates that he's been given.
Well, he should be,
But loyal.
he should
makes
be,
us
he
stay.
should be told about that, you know, he should be,
Well, he must, I mean,
Who is the operator?
maybe reminded.
Who is the operator?
Michael Nathan?
Oh, my God.
But if they put,
Somebody from the highway department to operate that thing.
You don't have enough people. They're short now. They've been trying to hire help all summer and they got nobody.
What about Patrick? He did it last time.
I don't know if he can because he's a town employee already,
He's a slave.
so to speak.
when's it going to begin?
October.
So we issued
Like 10
we
days from
issued
what it
a
was saying.
Friday. We handed it to Jackson, right? Thursday. We handed it to Jackson on Thursday. So hopefully he was supposed to have, I meant to ask him this. He was supposed to have submitted it to Natural Heritage within 24 hours. So theoretically Friday. So Friday is now,
7 days would be Friday.
yeah, so middle of, not this week, next week.
Next Wednesday.
For Heritage to, I mean, we use their language, they're not gonna, you know.
They're going to accept it, yeah.
We did, everything was in there was exactly what they said. So there's, you know,
Should go.
they haven't got anything to complain about.
But why did I read about the refueling?
Because that was in the original one. Patrick said, no, you can't do that because they can't refuel. So I just took that one line out,
And
and
they were okay with that?
it wasn't Heritage, that was me. So that wasn't what they got. They've got the one without number 3.
So they're greasy machinery that sits on the bank.
Apparently.
What does that, I know they use peanut oil for hydraulic fluid or something, but does it run on diesel fuel or gasoline or?
But they refuel on the water, according to Patrick.
Well, I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
But it's probably a hand pump, so.
And he said you can't haul it out of the water to refuel. It would just be too cumbersome, so.
It'd be interesting to see the refueling process.
And just for another bit of information, anybody that's gone to the compactor, notice they're still cleaning up the bird sanctuary area there. There was talk, and I didn't agree to it, I just listened, that they wanted to make the new Talbot Center in that storage shed area, which is still on the bird sanctuary property.
I object to that because the reason that they want to do it is because of the Americans Disability Act and evidently the ramp that goes up to the current.
Oh, yeah, they screwed that up too.
Well, they can unscrew it up.
Yeah.
And leave the damn Talbot Center where the heck it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not rocket science to take a 2-inch lip and build another concrete little.
Granted, we have no rocket scientists on this whole project.
Yeah, but I do think, I do like Roxanne's idea of putting informational posters or whatever, signs on the Talbot Center to let people know what they might see if they were to walk around the bird sanctuary.
Yeah.
But we would need to have somebody who knows something to, go in there and say, oh, you might see, or whatever.
Crow. A rat escaped from the pump.
I make a motion, we adjourn again.
Second, third.
All in favor?
Aye.
Time is it?
42.